Alright, let's talk about Lab 6 now. For this one, you will be using Verilog to write a sequence detector. And so I'm not doing one of the sequences that you have to do, but I will do a similar sequence. So let's say I want to detect the sequence 0110. First, you need to have a state diagram. So our first state will just be our start, our reset, and you are supposed to give an output of 1 whenever you are at the last bit of this sequence, and sequences can overlap. So for instance, if I had 01101110, I would get an output of 1 here and here. I don't have to start back over again, 0110, although I could. So if I am at the start and I get a 1, I have not advanced at all towards my sequence of 0110. So an input of 1 gives me an output of 0. Seem to be running out of electricity. Alright, but if I get a 0, then that will advance me to my next state. I still have not completed my sequence, but I do have a 0. If I'm at this state and I get another 0, then I haven't advanced. Right now I have a 0. If I get another 0, I haven't advanced any further because I need a 1 to advance further, but I also haven't gone back any. So I just stay on this state, 0. My output is still 0. But if I get a 1, then I've advanced, and now I have a 0, 1. So 1, I have not completed my sequence yet, so my output is still 0. Now from a 0, 1, if I get a 0, so if I have 0, 1, and then I get a 0, I'm going back to just having a 0. Because after I get a 1, in order to advance to the next state, I need to get another 1. So if I get a 0, I'm going back here. If I get a 1, however, then I can advance to the next state, and now I have a 0, 1, 1. Still have not completed my sequence yet, though. So I got a 1, my output is still 0. So now I'm at 0, 1, 1. If I get a 1 at this point, now I have 0, 1, 1, 1. I don't have anything anymore. Because my steps on the way are 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1. Now my last 3 bits are 1, 1, 1, and that's nothing. So if I get a 1, I'm all the way back to start. However, if I get a 0, so I had a 0, 1, 1, and I get a 0, I've detected my sequence. And not only that, have the first bit towards my next sequence. So I'll go back to here. I have my input was a 0 and my output was a 1. So if you see, I have 3 states here. So I will call these states A, B, C, and D. And now I can make my state table. And I can get my next state. I don't know if we have a variable we're supposed to use for our input. It looks like we can call it whatever we want. Okay. Call it W. W equals 0, W equals 1. and our output does depend on our input. So if my current state is A and I get a 1, I go back to A. If I get a 0, I go to B. If I'm in B and I get a 1, I go to C. If I'm in B and I get a 0, I stay in B. If I'm in C and I get a 0, I go back to B. If I'm in C and I get a 1, I go to D. If I'm in D and I get a 1, I go back to A. But if I get a 0, I go to B. And for A, I get an output of 0 every time. The only time I get an output of 1 is if I'm in D and I get a 0. Okay, so now I will assign variables for these. I have 4 states, and so I need 2 to the 2 equals 4. I need 2 flip-flops or 2 variables. So I'll have my current state will be XY. Current state be lowercase x, lowercase y. Next state, w equals 0, w equals 1. Output, w equals 0, w equals 1. This doesn't change. That's still 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. These I can now define. I can define these however I want, but I'll just define them in order, with A being 0, 0. So it'll be capital X, capital Y. So A will be 0, 0. B will be 0, 1. C will be 1, 0. And D will be 1, 1. So there's my state assigned table. See, what else are you supposed to do? Derive the next state function as the function for the flip-flop. Okay, so X will be based on X, Y, and W. When X, Y is 0, and I'm doing capital X here. So when W is 0, capital X is 0 all the way across. And when W is 1, X is 0 for 0, 0, and X is 0 for 1, 1, and X is 1 for 0, 1, and 1, 0. So capital X equals X bar Y W, or X Y bar W. Capital Y capital Y is 1 whenever W is 0. And it is only 1 for XY is 1, 0. Otherwise, it is 0. So capital Y equals W bar or XY bar. And then W equals has to be X, Y, W bar. That's the only time we have a 1. Okay, so those would be my functions. Let's see what else. Okay, so that's it for this Verilog. I will work on that later tonight and post something for y'all, because it'd be really good for you to have it before you go to lab.